The Treasury Department missed a Wednesday deadline imposed by House Democrats to turn over President Trump's tax returns. In a letter to the House Ways and Means Committee, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said the request, quote, raises serious issues concerning the scope of congressional investigative authority, the legitimacy of the asserted legislative purpose, and the constitutional rights of American citizens. The president said on Wednesday that he would not turn over his tax returns while he is under audit. Meanwhile, Democrats in the New York State Senate are picking up the fight for President Trump's tax returns. Democrats introduced a bill this week that would allow New York State to provide tax returns to congressional committees for a, quote, legitimate legislative purpose. The bill has the backing of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, as well as leadership in the state Senate. It's also supported by New York Democrat and House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler. New York State Senator Brad Hoylman introduced this legislation. He's a Democrat who represents New York's 27th Senate District. Senator, welcome to CBSN here. I want to ask you about your bill and how this would work in practical terms. You're talking about wanting to get a look at the president's state tax returns. What's the information that you're hoping to get from those?
Well, we think that the state returns will have a lot that's on the federal returns. That's the commonplace understanding of how these returns are parallel to each other. And the process that we're setting forth is a parallel process that Congress has with the IRS. We're just giving the state of New York, which routinely provides this information to the federal government, to other states of New York State taxpayers, a different channel to provide it to congressional investigative committees.
So you say committees who make these requests must have a, quote, legitimate legislative purpose. What's the definition of legitimate legislative purpose?
Well, it's within their ambit of their role as a co-equal branch of government and their important oversight responsibility of the other branches of government.
Who makes that determination?
Well, that obviously could be a test for courts to examine, but I think it's within Congress's role. They routinely ask for tax returns, have done it over the course of American history, and those three committees would have the opportunity to request that information of the state of New York under our legislation.
As you know, there is some skepticism about what is taking place at the federal level with respect to the various sort of House moves to try and get information like the president's tax returns. Do you think it's New York State's responsibility to help Democrats at the federal level do that, to get the president's tax returns?
Well, first of all, we have a unique role because we are the home state of Donald Trump and the domicile for a lot of his corporate interests. But I think we have a responsibility because here you have a president who is stonewalling the U.S. Congress, a co-equal branch of government, undertaking its important oversight responsibilities. Lo and behold, we have Donald Trump's tax returns here in the state of New York, and we can provide them to Congress if the IRS, if the Treasury Department won't.
So Ed Cox, the chairman of New York State's Republican Party, said the bill is aimed at one person and was designed at increasing Governor Andrew Cuomo's political prospects. How concerned are you that this move could be seen as purely a political partisan attack?
Well, I would argue that it's a purely partisan attack not to cooperate with Congress just because the House of Representatives is of a different party. Donald Trump broke 40 years of political tradition by not providing his tax returns to the American public before he was elected president, and now he claims that it's a matter of the fact that he's being audited. Well, that really doesn't pass the laugh test in this current political climate where we know that the President of the United States may have something to hide from the American people.
So your bill would change New York state laws that prohibit private tax information from being released. Should other New Yorkers be concerned that their filings could in fact be requested by state or federal officials?
No, because their filings are already being shared with the state of New York, with the federal government, and with other states. This is nothing new. This is just providing an additional channel for the state of New York to provide tax information to one of three House and Senate committees that currently can request that information already of the federal government.
As we just mentioned a moment ago, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin missed a deadline for the request from the House, questioning the constitutionality of that request. Would you want the state to take legal action against the federal government to obtain the president's tax returns?
The state of New York, I think, should wait until we pass this bill and I'm hopeful that we can do it in short order and fulfill our responsibility as the protectors of the state tax returns for all New Yorkers.
This is your third attempt with a piece of legislation to try and accomplish this, obtaining the president's tax returns. Why do you think this time will be successful?
Because I think it's much more narrowly tailored. We're not suggesting that the tax returns of any New Yorker be made public. We're providing them to Congress at their request under their mandate to be the check on the executive and perform their important oversight responsibilities.
And what's the time frame in the last 20 seconds we have left that you would hope that this could actually be put into effect and you would get your hands on the president's tax returns?
I hope that we can pass this legislation in the next couple of weeks, that the governor would sign it, and that we could very quickly move to provide the tax returns of Donald Trump to the United States Congress under their mandate as a co-equal branch of government.
All right, State Senator Brad Hoylman, thank you so much, Senator, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.